Hey Wire Monkeys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Cabling. This time we're talking PoE live, Austin, Texas, from the PoE Consortium Symposium. So this week, this is a first for the podcast. We are doing a live podcast episode. As I mentioned, I'm in Austin, Texas. I got invited to be a part of the PoE Consortium Symposium, where we're looking to change the PoE industry. And I have not one, not two, but 6 guests, PoE experts from design and installation. So this should be a very good episode. Now, before we get too much further along, let's have them introduce themselves. First, starting with Matt.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matthew Apfel, the Assistant Training Director of the Electrical JTC of Southern Nevada. 24 years in the industry, mixture of installation, project management, design, construction management, and education. 17 years in the IBW and close to 15 years of training and education when it comes to technology and forward-thinking spaces in the electrical industry.
Good afternoon, Rene Gonzalez. I'm with 3G Electrical and Controls, do building technologies. Been in the industry for 20 plus years doing both design and installation, both in terms of electrical, building technologies, and networking as well. Thank you.
Jason Cole Audio and Video. I've owned the business for a little over 20 years, AV, lighting control, and other low voltage, and been specifically with PoE lighting for maybe 7 years now.
Hi, I'm Hannah Walker. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Sinclair Digital. So I'm in charge of all the design and installation and commissioning. I'm an rcdd and CCNA, and I've been in the industry since about 2017, primarily just in PoE lighting and other sorts of DC low voltage power.
Hi, I'm John Young from Walsh PoE. I'm a project manager and technical advisor. I've been in the installation business for about 15 to 20 years, and I've been working in PoE for the past 6.
I'm Shane Slater. I own SBS Group. Been in the industry for 25 plus years. I've been working with PoE for the last 6.
So like I said, I have a lot of experts on the channel. So we're going to talk about PoE installation, PoE certification, and changing the PoE industry, all in less than an hour. So we got to hustle. But I got to acknowledge, we have a repeat guest on this show. Yes, Hannah. She's been on the show before. We talked about the Sinclair. So the first question is going to go to her, and it is, what motivated you to get into the PoE design?
Wow, so I think like a lot of us here, I sort of fell into it. So I came from an architecture background. I started working for a developer who was very interested in technology and just became fascinated with the way that all these different end devices were connecting using electricity. I didn't have any electrical background, I didn't have any network background, but I just found it really exciting to be on the edge of what was coming to buildings. And I love buildings and I love construction, so that was really what hooked me and got me into low voltage and PoE specifically.
Shane, what motivated you to get on the installation side of PoE?
Hannah's company, to be honest with you, I met her about 6 years ago. They were jumping into it really heavy. It excited me. It's something new, and I could see instant potential in it.
How it is that I really got involved in the PoE industry is, as an AV guy, a big part of my job is to integrate. I have to take this thing and have it talk to this thing, and the concept of having a single device whereby this port needs to talk to this port and everything's on the same platform, it very much interested me. So I thought that's why I got in.
It's kind of ironic you jumped in because you actually had the next question. Because of your experience in PoE and the AV side, how have you seen PoE evolve over the last 10 years or so?
So, evolve. I think there's been a lot of progress toward what I had just mentioned. So in other words, if you have a platform and you have this device that gets power and sends the power out to a light fixture, that's great, cool, you made progress. But what happens when you want to do what I've just said that I want to do and have this device or system talk to not just the lights, but the roller shades and the camera and the wall controller, and all these things need to be on a system and then deliver the system to the end user. So those endpoint devices and integration of those devices through the PoE system, regardless of the manufacturer, they've all made progress. And then integrators such as myself and Hannah and everyone here have made progress on how to make those things come together. So the integration of the endpoint devices.
So the PoE industry is not any different than low voltage. We all kind of fall into it. I was looking at the Halloween costumes. I didn't see any PoE integrator costumes on the shelves. So this question goes to Matt, my fellow moderator here this week. A rock star, buddy. I'll tell you what, it takes a lot to impress me when it comes to instructing and presentation. This dude's got it, man. He's got it. Not only is he JATC, he's a Bixby certified trainer, he's an FOA certified trainer, he's got all tons of experience. How have you seen this PoE industry evolve over the last 10 years?
It has evolved in many ways that people would never even guess. And that's the practical application and the amount of appliances and end user products. And as we know in the electrical industry, it's always changing. It's always driven by the consumer. How many different things can it apply to? Can it just be lights? Can it be surveillance, access control, security, temperature control, IoT, instrumentation, eventually even life safety things such as fire alarm. It has evolved in such a way that it has revolutionized the way that we deal with power delivery, power management, and the data. It's enabled the market itself and the electrical industry to be diverse and in the ways that offers us to do telemetry and be more conscious when it comes to power delivery and usage. In a way, the market itself is enabling us to not only grow and offer different entertainment and life safety and other safety functions, but save money and be more conscious at the same time, to where it's going to go hand in hand with green initiatives and with other smart building management strategies that at the end of the day, as a society, due to PoE technologies, we'll be more efficient, happier, safer, and we'll enjoy ourselves more doing it in the process.
Safer is always better. It always is. Renee, this question is for you. What common misconceptions or challenges do you have explaining to a customer what PoE is?
I think one of the challenges that a lot of the customers have about PoE is that it's complex. It's not really complex. It's not having to take foreign skills and knowledge that doesn't already exist. It's really looking at what's already out there in the industry, leveraging what's there, identifying best practices, and applying a lot of what's already been out there in the industry and figuring out how we can bring it together and make it part of an overall system and ecosystem. And so therefore it's really easier for them to understand that it's not rocket science, as they say. It's really a matter of leveraging what we already have there, applying it to different situations, and really kind of matching it to a new technology portfolio that's ever growing.
So how do you overcome that with a customer though? Because your response is great, but it's kind of high end. Down in the weeds, pretty simple. How do you overcome those objections with a customer?
I think part of it is helping them explain it as from their perspective, that they're not really going to see things differently from the user experience. It's really about behind the scenes, how can we more efficiently deliver essentially communication and power through a different vehicle to what they're already using. They don't have, if they look up at the light fixtures, they don't need to know whether it's DC or AC power, PoE, if you will. That's where the experts come in. That's where the trained professionals come in to help deliver the same thing that they already are used to, and perhaps delivering an enhanced user experience as well.
John, the same question to you. What challenges or misconceptions, because you're forward facing to a customer as well, so what ones have you seen?
The big one for us is pricing. People are always asking about price. Nobody ever asked about price up until now. But now it's a big question, and we talk about the granularity of the fixtures and how easy it is to control individual lights. and be able to control them differently than you would with AC power.
As Renee was saying his response, I was thinking in my head, because I've got many years as experience as an estimator and project manager, one of the easiest ways to talk a customer into doing what you want them to do is explain to them how it's going to hit their pocketbook or save them money. Hannah, same question to you, because you're more on the design side, so you're functioning at a higher level, so you might be dealing with other engineers, not necessarily an end user who doesn't understand. You're dealing with electrical engineers and stuff like that. What common misconceptions do they have?
So from the engineering standpoint, a lot of it is just is that they aren't used to working with the network side. So we typically will take on a lot of the drawings for the lighting. Like, they'll do the exact same thing they always do, and then instead of allocating power at the light itself, we have them reallocate that power to another point. So it's more that they think they're going to have to relearn how to design everything in their design process, but that's not really the case. We find a lot of times the MEPs will do the exact same thing for the client, but they'll just distribute the power a little bit differently. And so when we can show them how simple it is and that it's not complicated, and they can still do the design layouts and still do the lighting, and just make a few modifications about where the power is coming from, it makes it much more easily to digest from their standpoint.
So Jason, this question's for you. So the PoE industry, even though it's been around for 10 years or a little bit longer, it's still kind of relatively new and wild, wild west. What areas in the PoE industry do you see that needs improvement?
Top to bottom. I think there's lots of, it's just as you said, it's a young industry, so you have everyone from the manufacturer to the integrator to the ownership to the MEP and the architect, to everyone is still learning how these pieces all go together. So the growth, I think, is going to come in conversations like we're having here today, whereby you can bring the different manufacturers together, create standards, move projects together more smoothly, have all the trades on a job communicate more effectively, and what is the paperwork and standards and interoperability between these different trades and manufacturers to get to a nicer end product, and make that process smoother.
I love that word, interoperability. Love that word. Matt, so you the same question, but I want you to focus more on safety.
PoE Technologies is going to enable a lot of things to be safer function of equipment, safer installation. The job site, the installation process is safer, inherent through the technology and through the equipment itself. Class 4 power is dubbed as fault managed power, but so is PoE. PoE in itself is fault managed power, to where there's a lot more checks and balances into the power delivery of the systems themselves. It's going to make the electrical environment in which the technician and the electrician operate in a much safer one, free from potential hazards.
Shane, this question's for you. So I learned during the live stream on Thursday night with Tyler, I don't know why I didn't know this, there is a PoE standard. And there's also a PoE in the code book. You can go look it up for yourself if you're bored on a Friday night. Are there any gaps in the standards or the codes that the industry really needs to address?
Yeah, there's definitely some gaps in the code. I think they just tried to make some changes and adapt to BICSI standard as of right now, just to get something on paper. They definitely need to be revamped for a more working system.
Yes. So the next question, this one's going to go to Hannah. We're going to switch our conversation to PoE installer certifications. Okay. All right. Do you believe a PoE certification path for contractors would be beneficial to the industry? Why or why not?
I think it can definitely help, because one of the main things that we look for when we're trying to choose an installer is somebody who's done it before, or somebody who has experience doing it. Because there are a lot of nuances, whether you're working with an electrician who's never done PoE lighting or a low voltage contractor who's never done PoE lighting. Both of those sets of groups need to be trained in this specific way of doing PoE lighting, specifically with the way that lights are connected, lights are hung, cables are pulled back in an orderly manner. You know, each side will have strengths and weaknesses. And so I think having more robust certifications for the installers would definitely help the industry as a whole and help more jobs get completed correctly for the first time around.
Since you're on the design side and you're hiring contractors, would you be more likely to hire a contractor who has a PoE certification over somebody who has another certification?
I would, especially if they had experience as well doing another PoE job and they were certified specifically in PoE, or even better, with the manufacturer that we were specifically designed into the job. If they had that sort of certification, we would definitely lean towards them and using them for that project.
Renee, this question, same question to you, because you have more of an eye on the operational side. Would a PoE certification help the industry? Would it help you select an employee better if they had a PoE certification?
It definitely would help me, because another way to look at a PoE certification, it's really essentially a roadmap of starting in a particular place with terms of knowledge and the end point of having a certain amount of knowledge and experience that they've achieved. So by having this certification, we would be able to understand that road that they've already traveled to gain that knowledge and experience that's going to be needed out in the field. And so we know those items are covered, then we can focus now on actually putting in or helping them develop experiences in other aspects of the delivery or installation process.
So Matt, this question's for you, because you and I, we walk the same path, right? We're installers, we're trainers, we've been in the world, we're both wearing boots, everybody else is wearing tennis shoes. That's why you can tell, you want to find out where the trade people are? Look at their footwear. Look at their footwear. You can tell who the installers are here today. I'm just going to say that and leave that right there. But you're also a trainer, right? So talk to me about the skills and knowledges that you think should be in a PoE certification program.
A PoE certification program that is robust and balanced in multiple areas. A program that has an equal amount of programming, logical configuration, as well as installation, termination, testing, and troubleshooting. In a way that a PoE installer is someone that is familiar with the devices, the hardware, the cabling, the termination methods, but as well as the network and security. A synchronous learning platform is something that could be controllable, something that you can leverage. You can't leverage somebody's abilities. You can't leverage somebody's capabilities. You can't control that. But having a program on a platform to where you establish a standard baseline of this installer, this technician has been trained to this, would be something that would be equitable across all platforms. But that platform would essentially offer the installer the ability to handle all of those different areas, something that PoE technology and automation systems is kind of unique to.
So Jason, same question to you. And the reason I'm asking you this is because you have AV experience. CEDIA certifies AV installers, right? And you're functioning already in the low voltage industry, so you're already familiar with the other certification programs, right? So same question to you. What skills and knowledges do you think should be in some type of a PoE certification program?
I wholeheartedly agree with Matt. There's basic skills, and I'm just as a layered approach. There's the basic skills. How do you physically run this wire and connect this thing? There's the programming bit of it. There's the computer knowledge of it. This is a more advanced product, more advanced system. But I'll add in there the background that you can gain from having a larger perspective on a project. What's the goal of the project? I find that if I can train a programmer on the goal, like the keypad needs to do these things, that will actually help them in the design process. That will help them in, where do I put this thing physically on the wall? What does the drop-down list box need to say? So if I can get someone that understands and is specifically trained to look at the bigger picture and understand the why, then I think the results in the field and on a piece of software are enhanced.
We'll throw it to Hannah. So we kind of already talked about the certification advantages for having a PoE certified. What if a contractor is not PoE certified, they're Big C certified or FOA certified?
It would definitely help because I would feel confident in their ability to at least pull the cable correctly as far as pathways and terminations and things like that. And with any system, especially with PoE systems, we definitely like to implement pre-wire trainings and have very detailed drawings because we know that not every project that we work on is going to be someone we've worked with before or somebody that's had a PoE job before. It's just a reality. There's too many new jobs. There's not enough installers that have experience at this point. So having at least good structure cabling certifications would be a benefit if you were just doing a direct comparison to another installer.
So Shane, same question to you, but I want you to think about it as, again, because you're operational side, you got a person sitting in front of you who's got a PoE certification and another person sitting in front of you has a BICSI certification. Which one do you think you're going to lead? Assuming everything else is equal, which it never is in a hiring situation, but we're pretending, which one would you lean more towards?
I would lean more towards the PoE certified. Again, it would be all the things that a BICSI certified technician would know with two, like he was talking about earlier, 2 different layers of knowledge. And that could even possibly go into another layer of knowledge, which is the basic installation methods for light fixtures, things along those lines. So cross-training almost into like a hybrid mode, I believe would be the best bet for part of the PoE certification.
So you know I got to circle back around the mat. You're already FOA certified instructor, a BICSI certified instructor, a JATC instructor. Are you going to become a PoE certification instructor?
Might as well. One thing that I'm also doing is kind of already in line with this, and I really, really hope that we can use some of this forward momentum is at our JATC that we are a WCAT training facility, which is a Western Electrical Cybersecurity Apprenticeship Training. And that has a couple different classes and programs within that. One of them is cybersecurity for electricians, because that's huge. We're talking about installing all of these network-enabled devices, and no matter what we do, we need to make sure that we leave in a safe environment, a safe network environment. But it's also smart building energy management strategies, which PoE is a huge part of. And it is a huge part of that, enabling devices and discovering them on a network and assigning roles to them. Now you have cabling and infrastructure and devices that are actually doing something from an input and output standpoint. But the intelligent lighting control training program that is the third part of that is what I hope to actually be able to use as a vehicle to push this PoE training and initiative with, and then showing that in the market today, there is a desire and a need, and where there is a need, it's cause and effect, and that's one of the things that we need to make sure we identify with this. And yeah, if there is a PoE certification, you better believe I'm going to have it and I'm going to teach it.
So John, let me ask you, would you be more inclined to get a PoE certification if it was endorsed or maybe even required by some type of an association or organization?
Absolutely. I think having a PoE certification, if it was required by a local jurisdiction or even NEC or anybody, I absolutely think that would be a great idea.
Renee, same question to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you have an organization or association that's driving the certification, then you understand that there is a framework that's used that's consistent with a clear objective on delivery of the PoE certification. And to the question of a BICSI versus a PoE certification, I think one of the biggest differences as a PoE installer, you're not just looking at that structured cabling component, but you would actually be bringing on additional skill sets and knowledge related to more of the end-to-end components. You have the structured cabling, you have the actual field devices, you have the head-end equipment, and then the integration, from an end-to-end. And so I think that's where a tremendous amount of value and additional expertise and knowledge will lend to anyone coming into this industry.
So one final question. I'm going to pose this to everybody. We're just going to work our way down the line from Matt all the way down. So we're here today at the PoE Consortium Symposium, and Matt and I grilled you guys for 3 hours. I had a headache just from the questions. So I know you guys your heads are probably spinning. what is one golden nugget, to use a Tyler term, one golden nugget that you pulled away from today's meetings? Matt?
Is that everybody here today has common goal, common interest. The golden nugget is that we are all on the ground floor of a developing and growing industry. And we, in essence, hold the reins. We have the ability to shape this, form this, and lead it in a direction that is desirable for everybody.
Along similar lines, is I think that everyone here recognizes that we want to be able to help others, and we have experiences that we can bring to the table, and it's just a matter of finding the actual methods in which we can bring all this knowledge that everybody possesses and frame it in such a way that can be leveraged by others that are wanting to get into or are already in this industry as well.
Jason?
I think establishing standards and education through those standards, or having the training program that you're just referring to, not just to installers, but to the end user, to the wider public, and the benefits of PoE from energy, from operational, from integration, from environment. Having a training program and then getting that education out can move the whole industry forward.
Anna?
I think that one of my biggest takeaways is that there's still a long way to go. We have had these conversations all day, and there's still a million problems we didn't solve, but there's such great energy and excitement about where the industry is going, and we all know that it's going there. So I think that we have the right tools to fix those problems and solve them and push the industry forward.
Rome wasn't built overnight. John?
I think a big one for me is that even though we're all spread throughout the country, we're all kind of on the same page. We all have the same ideas. We're all working towards the same thing, and it means we're kind of doing something right if we all have those same ideas, and every time somebody says something, everybody else in the room does one of these and agrees. So it means we're all doing something kind of right, and we're going to move the whole thing forward.
And finally, but not, what is it, last but not least, Shane?
I think meeting like-minded folks, just like we are here, everybody's got the same vision, the same passion. It's nice to be in a room where you know you've got it, where you're up in the middle of the night thinking about new ideas. It's nice to be around people that think the same way that you do.
So before we close this out, I'm going to throw open to the audience if they have any questions. And of course, Tyler.
Well, I'd like to ask the speakers, what is it that you think that makes the difference between what you're doing today versus what the technology was like 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
Everything's becoming much more efficient. That's one thing I've noticed. The LED diodes are becoming more efficient. So we're working our way towards putting more fixtures on a node. And as that grows, we'll be able to get the price down.
What about one of my design people?
Integration is what I would say. Like the ability to say, the ability to deliver on the promise of PoE that I got in the industry in the first place. The ability to say, here's a system, and all of these endpoint devices work on the same power structure from the same switch, and they talk to each other. And getting closer to that actual delivery means that the space delivered for the end user is more comfortable, it's more efficient, it saves money, it has all these benefits, and we're getting closer to really consistently being able to deliver that. And a big reason is that endpoint devices are now easier to integrate.
I think a big one for me over time is going from that 15 to 30 to 60 to 90 watt port. That's been huge, being able to get more lights per port and more devices per port.
For me in particular is seeing that the market manufacturers are recognizing that for them to be successful, it takes everyone around them to also be successful. And doing so, it is about integration, it is about collaboration, it is about getting rid of walls, and really embracing, learnings and experiences from others and coming together and figure out, again, with the objective of the customer experience is really what at the end of the day is going to make everyone successful in this industry.
And I'll add one more thing. The compatibility with light fixture manufacturers has really expanded over the past 5-7 years that I've been in the industry. Way more manufacturers are offering to ship lights without drivers from the factory, which is exactly what this industry needs. So just the education around that from the light fixture manufacturer side has really ramped up in the past several years.
And over the last several years, with advancement in technology, we've created industries. We've created industries within healthcare, within instrumentation and automation, to where even though telemetry technically does take away from other traditional aspects of economy, it creates more. It creates the ability for children in one part of the country to receive health care and specialized procedures from a specialist in another part of the country. It's enabled us to have a smarter form of telemetry and SCADA networks in nuclear facilities, to where we're able to have those facilities online, have greater uptime in data centers, and things like that have a greater impact on society and other areas. This technology and adaptation of that and applying what we've learned moving forward will only enable us to even make greater advancements in technology, society, and it'll provide additional abilities for us to have better educational platforms, better ways for us to be able to extend this educational environment into areas of the country and the world where they would not have otherwise had that opportunity, and that's amazing.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, where do you see the most interest in the PoE lighting right now? Is it in schools, hospitals, hotels? Where is the most interest? Because this is a new technology, so who seems to be grasping it?
I'll take that. In my particular part of the world, I'm in the New York area. 2 areas. One's multi-tenant, full floor, partial floor. Typically going to be a full floor multi-tenant, a tenant fit out, so a single floor. The second one is going to be multi-tenant, so typically going to be a ground up or gut renovation of an existing facility, whereby you can have to different physical network from the PoE infrastructure. I find, and then hotels and hospitality fall into that same infrastructure design as a multi-tenant, so those kind of go hand in hand. The areas that I find to be really challenging are going to be universities and healthcare in particular.
I've found that within the educational space, that if I have a classroom of 24 students, apprentices, that have just worked 10 hours out in the field and they are beat, they like to be able to walk into a room and control the lighting. You control the lighting, you control the atmosphere. You can control and have a positive effect on their mindset and their ability to learn. We have one classroom in our training facility where it is a fully controllable LED PoE solution. And more times than often, instructors and students will fight to be in that classroom. And I have found that classroom, students test better, they pay attention better. It's cooler in that room. The HVAC doesn't have to work as hard in that room. I can go on and on about the benefits that I have just seen in the educational space. And sometimes it is just a matter of the tune and the color of the light, which is something that is across the board with most PoE lighting manufacturers, is that you have the ability to do. Not only that, but within that educational space, I can control that room and just set the lights and on timer and whatnot, and I can have other sensors, tell me exactly what's happening there via humidity, temperature control, and motion. It's just a lot of flexibility, but it all adds up to just a better space for the student to learn.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you personally, first off, for your dedication to change the PoE industry, putting up with Matt and I, because I know we're not the easiest people to get along with sometimes, and also your dedication to making this industry a little better. And I challenge you, the listener who's listening to this, look into the PoE Consortium. If you're doing PoE and you want to make this industry better, look them up. Until next time, knowledge is power.
That's it for this episode of today's podcast. We hope you were able to learn something. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.